Hi there! Welcome to English 9, an exciting time as there are many opportunities for you to succeed. That is Sir Julius, ready to impart the knowledge and skills that you can't refuse. Today, I am going to explore fun activities and learn exciting lessons. Do you want to learn with me again? Fantastic! But first, make sure you have your pen and paper. Are you ready? Let's get started! Hi Lado, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Sir Jules. I'm very excited to learn new lessons with you.
That's great! But before that, let's have some sort of review about our last topic. So can you tell me something about our last topic?
Our last lesson, sir, was all about family values. Family harmony provides a sense of belonging and a feeling of security, unlike many other types of relationships. When conflict arises, it threatens that security. Individual family members and the family as a whole can experience a range of negative emotions and consequences. Unresolved conflict may irreparably damage a marriage and the entire family if family members do not seek help.
Wow! That's on point, Lado. A healthy, happy family benefits our whole society. Among the children of strong families, there is less crime, less divorce, and less emotional problems. They tend to go on and have strong, healthy families of their own. Last week, I asked you to paste your family picture and write a short narrative about it. So this time, let's present some assignments from our previous episode. This assignment is from Al Ryan Kahayag, a grade 9 student of Kimamon National High School.
Have you ever been influenced by some important person that helped you to be the person that you are today? I have been. The people that have had influence on me are the most important human beings, my family. But before I begin talking about my family, I want to describe to you the place that we spend most of the time together, which also means something important to me and my family. This Christmas tree in the plaza. It is decorated with beautiful Christmas lights. You can appreciate a nice view of some beautiful trees and happy people. So this is our happy place, which is very important to us and has a lot of special things. But most special part of this place is when it brings my family together. I could begin the book of my life with a picture of my parents. I am a son of Ana Maria and Annie Kahayag. I am the only boy with sisters Angel Ann, Alexa Marie, and Alea Faith. They are important because they help me in my development. Also, they gave me the things that I needed to grow up in the moment that I needed, and they still gave me everything that I needed to become somebody in the future. Among these things is the education that I have received all in my life. My basic needs like food, clothes, medicine, a place to live, and most important thing, the love. Like for example, by being there when I needed somebody to talk to and giving me speeches when I do something wrong. Also, they care for me when I am sick and they give me the necessary things to get better. They teach me good values like how to behave, to respect other people, and to share with other people. Sometimes they push me in certain directions and have high expectations for me. But now, I really appreciate everything they have taught me. I understand why they do certain things, and it is because my parents want the best for me. On certain occasions, I get mad, but later, appreciate their words of wisdom and understand. My parents are wonderful.
Wow! Congratulations, Al Ryan, for a job well done. I'm sure your parents are really proud of you. Now, are you excited to get moving? Great! At the end of the lesson, you are expected to make connections between text to particular social issues, concerns, or dispositions in real life.
Sir Jules, do you love reading?
Of course, Lado, I really love reading. It improves my brain connectivity and increases my vocabulary and comprehension.
What kind of materials do you read, sir?
I love reading magazines, comics, newspapers, poetry, and many others.
Are there times that when you read stories, you get to remember an experience that is similar to the story that you have read?
Yes, Lado, that is right. What you are experiencing is called making connections. Before we begin, let's find out what you already knew about our lesson. If your answer is A, clap once. If your answer is B, clap twice. If your answer is C, clap thrice. Ready? Let's get started. Number 1. I read a story about a boy who visited magical land with witches and wizards. It reminded me of the book Harry Potter. What type of connection is this? A. Text to self. B. Text to text. Or C. Text to the world. The correct answer is D. Text to text. Great job! Number 2. I read a book about the best sports for junior high school. It reminded me that I have a basketball practice this afternoon. What type of connection is this? Is it A. Text to self? B. Text to text? Or C. Text to world? The correct answer is A. Text to self. Amazing! Number 3. I read an article about how oranges are grown in subtropical countries. It reminded me of how bananas are usually grown in the Philippines. What type of connection is this? Is it A. Text to self? B. Text to text? Or C. Text to world? The correct answer is C. Text to world. Perfect! I guess you have an idea on what we will be discussing today. When you hear the word connection, what comes in your mind? connection is a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is limited or associated with something else. But what is making connections to text? Have you experienced this? Crying while reading? How about this? Laughing while reading? You experience this because you personally connect your emotions to the text or story that you are reading. On top of that, you relate the text to your own experiences and you link what you read to what you know. As a result, you can easily understand the text that you are reading. So, making connections is a critical reading comprehension strategy that helps in defining what you are reading. When making connections to the text that you are reading, it helps you, first, make sense of what you read. Second, retain the information better. Third, engage more with the text itself. You can make connections between text to self, text to text, and text to world. In text to self connection, you connect what you are reading to your personal experiences. For example, this story reminds me of a vacation that I had on a beach, just like the main character. Here are the questions you can use as your guide in making text to self connections. What does this remind me of in my life? How is this similar to my life? How is this different from my life? Has something like this happened to me before? How does this relate to my life? And what are my feelings while reading this? In text to text connection, you connect what you are reading to other books that you have read before. For example, I read a book about venomous spiders. Then, I remember an article that I've read before showing the top 10 dangerous spiders in the world. For you to make text-to-text connections, you can consider these process questions. What does this remind me of in another book I've read? How is this text similar to other things I've read? How is this different from other books I've read? And have I read about something like this before? In text-to-world connection, you can connect what you are reading in real events, whether in the past and present time, social issues, other people, and happenings going on in the world. For example, I saw in the news about how water pollution is affecting marine animals. It reminded me of the whale died in Davao Gulf of the Philippines, which starved to death because of more than 88 pounds of plastic waste found in her belly. For you to make text-to-world connection, you can consider these process questions. What does this remind me of in the real world? How is this text similar to things that is happening in the real world? How is this different from things that happens in the real world? Always remember that you can make connections to text between text to text, text to self, and text to world. This time, get your pen and paper as we have this short quiz. Identify how the following reading make connections to text. Are you ready? Let's get started. Number 1. Eddie is reading book where a character visits a loved one in the hospital. It reminds Eddie of when he visited his grandmother in the hospital. What kind of making connection is this? Number 2. I read a magazine about the new airport that the city is planning to build. It reminded me of how small many local airports are. What kind of making connection is this? Number 3. Sheila read an article about a woman who opened a boat rental business in Tuganay River. It reminded me of our tour in Laguna Lake. What kind of making connection is this? Number 4. Romel is reading a book about rockets. He thinks that something he read contradicts a fact he saw in another book. So he makes a note to look it up when he gets home. What kind of connection is this? And last number 5. In the story that I've read, there was a pandemic. It reminded me of COVID-19 pandemic the world have experienced since 2020. What kind of making connection is this? Now, let's check if your answers are correct. Number 1. Eddie is reading a book where a character visits a loved one in the hospital. It reminds Eddie of when he visited his grandmother in the hospital. What kind of making connection is this? The correct answer is text to self. Number 2. I read a magazine about the new airport that the city is planning to build. It reminded me of how small many local airports are. What kind of making connections is this? The correct answer is text to world. Number 3. Sheila read an article about a woman who opened a boat rental business at Tuganay River. It reminded me of her visit in Laguna Lake. What kind of making connection is this? The correct answer is text to self. Number 4. Romel is reading a book about rockets. He thinks that something he read contradicts a fact he saw in another book. So he makes a note to look it up when he gets home. The correct answer is text to text. And last number 5. In the story that I've read, there was a pandemic. It reminded me of the COVID-19 pandemic that the world have experienced since 2020. What kind of making connections is this? You get it right. The correct answer is text to world. It looks like you are through with this lesson. Congratulations for actively engaging on each of the activity prepared for you. Remember that making connections is a critical reading comprehension strategy that helps you make meaning of what you are reading. When you make connections to the text that you are reading, it helps you to understand and make sense of what you read, retain the information better, and emerge more with the text itself. For your assignment, read any material available in your home and make as many text connections as you can, and send it to my Facebook account at Julius Andrew Calicdan, and we will present it on our next episode. This has been Sir Jules, ready to impart the knowledge and skills that you can't refuse. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye!